is meant to serve as a decoder ring for all that bootstrap bullshit they keep trying to sell us. That's right. Whenever you hear some well-paid commentator telling folks that the answer to all their problems is just to work harder, what they really saying is, I don't care about your circumstances. Your circumstances don't matter to me. You don't matter to me. Whenever you hear some rich asshole from a think tank go on and on about the virtues of the free market while ignoring those ill-affected by any semblance of a free market, what they're really saying is, as long as I ain't gotta see them, as long as I ain't gotta be them, fuck them. And I'm sorry if that sounds crass, but that's about as accurate a translation as I can give. And this song is about that unfortunate translation. So the next time you turn on your radio or your television or go on the internet and you hear some fool say, let the market sort it out, well then you'll know what it is they really saying. You'll know what it is they really saying.
Get yourself together before it's too late.
Oh! What the hell was that? That was from last night. We don't end. Wow. Good evening, everybody. It's Saturday, November the 20th, Eastern Standard Time, 9:10. And it's good to see everybody. It seems like we were just here. Well, tonight, my wonderful wife, Ronnie, is with us tonight, as well as the wonderful David Price. So without any further ado, I'll see if I can get the schematics together here. Ron, you'll have to wait a second before it pops in. We'll see here. Let me see. You got, oh, jeez. Dave? No, that's not going to work. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Dave, I guess you can hear my voice. There we go. This is live, not Memorex. Oh, there we go. Get this thing on there. Let's get a circle here. And there we go. And we'll put Ron in there. Overlays the camera with Ron. And this will be put that in a circle. All
Hey,
right,
Dave.
Oh, good.
Hey, Ronnie.
Working. Line's working.
Hey, Dave.
He's got you.
Hey, Ronnie, how are you?
Can you hear Ron?
I'm infuriated.
Okay.
Well, I think we have to stand in line with that. Hopefully there's a whole bunch of people that are. Again, I don't want to get into your private life, Ronnie, but I just think you're so courageous marrying Brian. I don't know how you do it. Did you hear what he just said? He said something about
Which thing?
Just a moment ago. He said, "I don't think you were I don't know if you were hearing it. I was in the green room, so I could hear it." And Brian said, and I quote, "Ronnie, you're gonna have to wait a minute till I pop this in." I don't want to go there, but I'm just not really sure what he meant. He has all those. Well, never mind.
All right,
Ronnie, it's good to see you. Hey, Brian, why don't we?
Dave, we can always count on Dave to hear that.
I have good hearing with that. Yes, I do. Listen, Brian, I have a suggestion. You and I usually do this, but tonight we have Ronnie, and it's always nice to have another voice. Why don't we start with her?
right.
And we'll listen.
Let me just switch it up. Ron, is there any more light there? I guess in front of you, can you get just a little bit of light or not? Are you on the Mac or are you on the notebook? Probably better. Yeah, there you go. All right. Ron, are you on the Mac or are you on the notebook?
I'm on the notebook.
All right. Okay. So Ron,
Lot of echo, Brian, on Ronnie.
oh,
Lot of echo.
all right. No echo. All right, you're on, Ron. What do you want to bring to the table tonight? What's got you upset, as Dave said?
Which thing? I mean, where do you start?
What do you want to start with?
I'm sure you talked a lot about the trial, the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, but it really, really hit home with me because I don't think many people can say that they testified at a murder trial. And I'm not bragging, but I did. And I have to say, I have no recollection of the judge whatsoever. The judge was, I'm sure, a big part of it. But for me, it was testifying, being grilled by a prosecutor. This blew my mind because I always had the feeling that justice would prevail in this world. But honestly, when I watched this judge, I knew that we were in trouble. We're in trouble. I just think we're in trouble. And I don't, honestly, for the first time in my life, I don't know that we can fight an evil thing that is happening right now. I never believed in evil until now.
Right. Well,
I
that's
just
what
never did.
Dave and I have been pretty much saying the last couple shows, but last night was pretty much indicative of what you're saying.
Well, Ronnie, certainly, I don't think anybody who looks at this situation who's not a Trump Republican or a fascist or the whole side over there would not say that this is troubling. And I don't see how you can say it's not evil. Now, the key point that you made was more of a question, even though it was, what do you do? And that's what everyone's struggling with right now. I think there are a number of answers, none of which are really viable. If I bring one up, somebody can shoot it down. If they bring it up, I can say this isn't. So the best thing I can say to everyone is, as I've continued to say, and I'll add one thing to it, just fight however best you can. If you have money, send it to a good cause. If you have time, do that. As in your case, in Brian's case, you have a turncoat. I shouldn't say that because it's not a turncoat. You just have a really bad congressman who started out as a Democrat, never was. I covered him years ago, but it's there. In my state of Virginia, I would have said headed blue, headed blue. I would have probably said blue, certainly with Youngkin winning here, not. And Ronnie, the other thing in your state, not picking on your state, but they're the two states I know the best. That gubernatorial race should not have been that close. And if you look at the numbers across the country, Biden is not in free fall, but he's down there really a lot. And Kamala is behind him. And if you really want to lose sleep tonight, again, polls, who knows? But right now, if the election were held tomorrow, Donald Trump is president of the United States. So, Ronnie, you're spot on about what you're worried about. We're going to talk a little bit later. You can stay and listen to it. I don't know what your plans are. Talk a little bit more about the trial, but we don't want to exhaust that. But you brought it up. It's on everybody's mind. How could it not?
Well,
be, right?
no, that was connected to, the next point where now we
Right.
have Congress people fighting over him being an intern for them, whether or not that would happen in reality or not. I mean, this is what I'm saying about evil. No matter what is censured, no matter who is stripped of committees, no matter what consequence lies ahead, they do not care. Okay?
Right.
And this
Absolutely.
is what I do not see Democrats doing anything or saying anything enough to say, next year, folks, next year, okay? They're already saying it's a shoo-in. We're going to lose the House. We're going to lose the Senate. We're going to lose the White House. You're even saying it, Dave. I
I
mean,
know. Yeah. No. I mean,
what is happening? What is
all right.
happening?
I wanted to comment a little bit, if I may, here on you mentioned the congressman or different congressmen offering an internship to Kyle Rittenhouse, and you said I don't even know. I'm going to make a prediction. He will be somebody's intern. He will.
He will.
There's
He will.
no question. Now let's look at what happened in that order. All right, the first person to come out is
Thank you, Sandy.
Congressman. Florida congressman, and may I add, the most a lookalike for a pervy, creepy evangelical preacher, Matt Gaetz, who on Wednesday, as the jury is still deliberating, said, "I think Mr. Rittenhouse has shown himself to be a true American hero, and I think he would make a great intern." Okay. Then Brian's favorite congressman chimes in on Friday after the vote. Madison Cawthorn, he chimed in with two pieces of information. One is he said clearly that echoed the point, and he is fully prepared to offer an internship to Kyle Rittenhouse if he wants it. But I also like this, and I don't understand how a congressman can say this in America. And he said, the first part is not is a paraphrase. The second part is taken from him. Basically, he said something effective to all true American patriots. Basically people who feel like me. Be armed and be ready.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Stand by. Yeah.
There you are, just in different words, right?
Right.
But Brian's super favorite congressman that he secretly writes every night.
He tells me all the people I like, and I don't even know that I like them.
Paul Gosar, who is the most hated man in his family. You always know you have a good congressman. If you're the most hated, he is. Nobody in his family has ever voted for him. He was a dentist. I wouldn't have work done. And here you go, Brian. I don't know if you caught this. This just came out right before the show. Paul Gosar, in a tweet that he repeated, threatened to arm wrestle Matt Gaetz for a chance to hire Rittenhouse.
Right.
Now, let's look at those three. Cawthorn's the leader of one of the leaders of the deplorable.
Cawthorn.
Matt Gaetz will go. If there's any justice, which we really question after this.
This is what I'm questioning.
Well, I said if there is any justice, one indication will have to be Matt Gaetz will go to prison for diddling. And you don't want to say little girls, but the law, and we're going to get to that later. The law doesn't make a distinction between ages infancy and under 18. So
You mean
when you say,
17? Yeah.
yeah, if somebody says little girl, I mean, yeah, oh no, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, Matt. Doesn't matter. She had a nice body. Doesn't matter, Matt. And Paul Gosar, man, he's so far out in front on the most deplorable male in Congress. And I mean, it's a race, but I don't know if anybody can catch him. So those three, if they're not taken care of, two things we know. Kevin McCarthy, the Republican leader, has said that, of course, Mr. Gosar was stripped from all his committees, and he should have been. I mean, in any kind of world, he should have been immediately bounced from Congress. What he basically did is have himself, not somebody else, had himself in anime killing Congresswoman AOC. And after he was censored for that, he ran it again. So obviously,
Not only ran it again, but Kevin McCarthy said when he becomes speaker, he'll get a promotion.
And there you are.
That's
They
what
will
I'm saying.
return. They will return to their committees, and and they could automatically get
Better
a
committees.
promotion.
Oh,
Right.
more committees, yeah.
Yeah, right. So this sounds so like absurd. Right now, tonight, I'm gonna Brian. I know you said this reaches into Russia. We know it's in New Zealand tonight. We know it goes to Canada. We've been in Germany.
Right.
If there are any aliens in outer space listening tonight to this show, I have basically a list. If you're only taking 22, I have a list of 22. If you want more, I have a list of 74 million Americans that you can take, and whatever you do with them is fine with me. Just get them the hell out of America. Because Ronnie, other than that, we just fight and fight and fight with no hope of success.
On.
Well, that's where I think we could have a plan. I was briefly mentioning you, Dave, about a minute prior to the show, that I was going to bring up the plan, because I posted something about Virginia where 34% of Democrats did not vote. That certainly would have been enough to put. I mean, you've got half that would have put them over. And we do know that in 2020, we thought that this was a critical point in time of our history. So we all came out to vote, and we beat Trump. We beat them.
Yes.
So, and I'm going to go in two directions with this, but the first direction is, we know they're crazy. They're absolutely insane. I mean, and there's nothing else. We can't say that, well, we're just divided and these people think this way and these people think this way. What they're doing is absolutely wrong. There's a point where you have to just say they're absolutely wrong, even though they're saying that we're absolutely wrong. But why don't we just use this? And as some people have said, why don't we just tell Democrats, you're going to lose everything, and just start flooding the media with, kind of like the Lyndon Johnson atomic bomb type of thing. Why don't we, and it would be legitimate this time, to have that type of response. Then maybe through fear, the rest of us come out. Now, we have to deal with the gerrymandering and all that and the cheating, but at least that might be the only thing we have, because we can't wait for Merrick Garland to throw them all in jail.
Well, I'm going to go, Brian. That's a really okay. Both of you, I'm sure, have been in situations that were hopeless, and people, just say, throw out any ideas, right? And that's where we are. Okay. I mean, we have no right to reject anything crazy, because obviously what we have now is not working. So I don't want to, pour water on this nice little fire you've started here that may spark us. But I'm going to give you the answer why I'm a little concerned about your suggestion working. And I'm going to quote President Biden, if I may.
Which, by the way, did kind of work in 2020. So.
Well, I'm not saying that, but this is President Biden last night, or yesterday afternoon, I should say. While the verdict in Kenosha will leave many Americans feeling angry and concerned, myself included, we must acknowledge that the jury has spoken. I ran on a promise to bring Americans together because I believe that is what unites us. Oh, I'm sorry. I believe that what unites us is far greater than what divides us. I know that we're not going to heal our country's wounds overnight, but I remain steadfast in my commitment to do everything in my power to ensure that every American is treated equally with fairness and dignity under the law. Kudos, Mr. Biden, for that speech 35 years ago. Kudos.
Right.
Now, is he saying this, and we don't know, I'm the one who always says, we got another movie. Is he saying this because he thinks that's what should be said? That's one thing. Is he saying this because he really believes it is possible? But no matter what, that right now, I don't think that's the signal he should be sending from the White House. Now, we always have to, because we don't want to go after the witch hunt here. And everybody says, oh, you changed your tune. I've not changed my tune. My tune is the same as it's always been. Every day with Joe Biden as president, America is better off than having Donald Trump president. But if Joe Biden isn't going to do anything or isn't going to do enough or doesn't feel he can do enough to make sure that Donald Trump isn't president, what did we do? We bought 4 years of respite. I'm going to go tonight on that same thing and go with Jesse Jackson tonight. I ran across this. And Jesse is many things, sometimes great, sometimes not so great. But I think he's got something here. Jesse says, the law is not enough. That's basically what Biden said, right? For me, we must change the law. And later on, I'd like to talk a little bit again about the law, simply because that's where it has to be changed. Now, I don't know, and I'm asking anyone out there, and I promise that I will do research and try to answer this question next week. There are certain ways that the federal government can override states. It's been done, in Little Rock. I mean, when states don't do things, it's been done, mostly in the civil rights matters, but others. If there is a way that we can get gun control mandated at the federal level, then we have to do that. If there's a way we can stop voter suppression at the federal level, then we have to do that. If there is a way that we can assure that districts are not gerrymandered as much as they are, then this we must do. And the list would go on and on. But actually, I'm going to start my thing with guns, because I think that might be the easiest to do. Now, guns, Sandy comes on just now.
Getting rid of guns?
What?
Well, I'm going to let you speak. Maybe I jumped the gun there. No pun intended.
No, I didn't hear your question. Say again.
You're saying maybe we should start with guns. That's like the
looking at all the laws.
It's a red button issue in this country.
What is it? Give me.
I think that's number one with these lunatics, because that's what they're afraid of us because we have more numbers.
Okay, but look at it this way, Brian. Why not attack them where they live? They want guns. Okay, I'm not going after your guns. Let's go not go after to take all their guns. Sandy's issue is environment. Everybody has their big issue. There's so many. Mine has long been guns. And there's about a half dozen, not a lot, half dozen proposals that would make Americans safe. And the idea of you have to do something. You can't have open carry. You can't have it. You cannot have it. If you have that, you have death in the streets, and it's only going to escalate. And yes, the gun doesn't cause the problem, but as I Facebook posted this week, if Kyle Rittenhouse didn't have that gun, just that simple gun, the situation would have not happened. That is 100% certain. Now this is where it gets tricky, had one of the three people he shot not had a gun, this situation wouldn't have happened. But because Kyle Rittenhouse can have a gun, Huber felt, I guess, the need for a gun. Or maybe they didn't care. Guns in the hands of non-trained people, being vigilantes, never been good, will never be good.
But
And
why? I mean, any normal gun owner would not be in favor of what happened this week. Okay?
I would agree
So,
with you to a
okay,
certain
so these
extent.
are so Congress is pandering to
Oh,
abnormal gun owners,
yeah,
obviously.
of
Okay?
course they are.
But I mean, it's actually this is the topic of the day, but it's really any topic that they feel that we're attacking. They'll say we're
Right,
attacking God, or we're attacking unborn babies, or we're
right.
attacking.
Well,
I mean, it's this was just because this is now in the forefront because of what's happening in the news,
right.
and
No, oh no, no,
yeah,
no. You're right. I mean, tomorrow it'll be something else, and the next day it'll be something else. But it does
it's
share.
unending. It's unending.
Well, it's unending until it ends, and I'm not being that as a smart ass answer. So let's look at the possible endings. One is they win. That's
Yeah,
on the table.
yeah.
That's on the table. Uh, One is we, and by we, anybody can put their party in. People with common sense, liberals, Democrats, whatever. We win, but I don't know that either one of those are what's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is we may just bounce back and forth, and that may even be worse because any good that gets undone will then be removed, in 4 years or 2 years or this or that or the other, and the whipsaw effect. You know, again.
But how are we? I mean, yeah, I mean, we want to have everybody
I
have registered weapons, but it never goes anywhere. It's just like
No,
Ron said, it's
because
just
Ronnie
and
put
on.
okay. I'm gonna. Ronnie is right on the money, but I'm gonna take something and even more. At one point in the red states, we're talking about the red states. About 85% of Republicans favored the Build Back Better idea. Now, what happened was because the Republicans will not approve anything the Democrats suggest, they got out there and started lobbying, and the numbers are dropping. But I mean, how do you not? They don't represent their people. They represent a small faction of Americans like Kyle Rittenhouse, who believes at age 17, I have the right to strap on a gun and go and help.
It's not that small of a fraction, actually. I don't think.
Well, I don't know, Ronnie. I'm saying a small fraction of that. I mean, there's people who agree with that, but they wouldn't do it. And they don't really care if you do it or not. They're just going for that one faction. Now, I used to think, I still don't get the NRA. That's, I lay a lot of the blood in America at their doorstep. I really don't understand how an organization that small got that much power. And I don't want to start
The
conspiracy.
Russians certainly were
Well,
bankrolling them.
no, that's what I want to say. I don't want to start conspiracy theories. But the only thing I can figure out, and we know that Russia sent money to the NRA and it in turn was given to a congressman, is that somehow.
And she's now in the Duma, the one who was arrested, if you remember.
Well, what I'm saying is somehow, once they said, oh my God, I've taken Russian money, that they said, and the NRA said, well, we'll never release that if. And really, the gun lobby, I mean, it can't, there's not that many people in it. It's just, I don't get it. Now, maybe somebody out there, and we have a very intelligent audience, maybe somebody can, explain that to me. And Ronnie, the thing that, you said that is so disturbing to me is it doesn't end. That's, a lot of people are already tired,
Right.
and they're going to get, like yesterday, with the verdict, a few people said, we'll fight harder. A few people said, man, I fought as hard as I can. I can't. And some just said, it doesn't matter. And Brian pointed out earlier that we have to get out. We have to get out at every election.
You do.
But we all have friends. I don't mean people we don't even know. Friends, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to vote. Or, it's just not that important. Or, I have something else. Now, I don't know. Again, I'm going to put a lot of weight on Mr. Biden from here, the times he's in. He needs to research, and I'm not saying he's not. He needs to research every executive action he can take without Congress and do it. Every one.
Do you think,
He's not
Dave, that his
capable.
age has something to
He's
do
not
with
doing
it?
it.
That he's
No,
not doing these things? Maybe that, he's this.
no. I think there are two things, Brian. And again, I'm going to break my rule. Try to get inside somebody's head. Mr. Biden is basically a very good man. No, I get paid by the word. No.
If you're ever saying you're welcome there, all right.
No, HLS, let me say something. One of my idols is Charles Dickens, and he did get paid by the word, and he was the first writer who became a millionaire. So I'm hoping that Brian someday will give me enough money to do that.
He always gets my 2 cents, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's about all. I like that.
Actually, Dave pays us just to come on with him.
Yeah. People don't know that.
Ronnie,
Mr.
I think Brian's getting to you.
Okay.
What happens though? Why is Biden doing what he's doing? I mean, I don't know. I think basically he probably does believe some of that he said.
That's a big problem if he believes.
We need to. Well, he does. I mean, we need to work together. Once upon a time we could almost do that.
How do you work together with the bully?
You don't. You
kick his ass.
Joe, you don't. Okay. And
Don't you think though that he's so concerned about how he's going to come off after all the accusations that were made about him being creepy, and he just wants to be the nice Uncle Joe now.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you.
We all get along.
No, I think he always was a nice Uncle Joe, and I don't think that's changed. If you're saying, I mean, he got one charge, and petted some young ladies on the head. What's happening? And again, that's a reflection of the country. You can make somebody out to be anything you want them to be.
Right.
I mean, seriously. And Republicans are geniuses at that.
Right, they've been bringing people back from the dead.
Yeah, well, like
it's like a writer does or something.
Or the question, we still have the question: when did you stop beating your wife? Well, how do you answer that? I never did. Well, no, you did. Whatever. I mean, there's just no answers to these things, and they put people on the defensive.
And we haven't even really gone back to that initial idea then from 2 or 3 months ago, Dave. Ron, you weren't on the show, but just to briefly mention, we were talking about the influence of Fox and the media, and this relates to why I don't have a good feeling about what you were mentioning about Joe Biden, trying to get people to kind of get along, because, I look at my cousins. I mean, Ronnie knows. Yesterday, I was just screaming at the top of my lungs at these people, and one was more reasonable than the other, but he's unreasonable. And when I was listening to everything he had said, he says, "Brian, I can't believe you're my cousin. I can't believe you're that crazy. Don't you have an open mind?" And then he started going through all these Fox talking points. He says, I watch MSNBC and CNN too, but it's all lies. You have to watch Fox. If you watch Fox for a while, you'll start understanding the truths and how they show the truths. And this is why there's a line between us.
I'm going to go somewhere,
and he's not the only one.
I am going to go somewhere tonight. It's a perfect segue for me to say something I really hoped I'd never have to say, being a former working journalist. It's not just Fox News. It's MSNBC, it's CNN, it's New York Times, it's the Washington Post. Now, I'd need hours to explain what I'm saying. But it's not that they have Fox has an agenda, but the other side, it doesn't matter. It's just the facts, and we reject them. I'm doing that too. As I spent today, I'll talk to people later if we have time. Looking at the case, I said it last night. I'm even more convinced today. The jury returned the proper verdict. What's messed up is Wisconsin laws. And there were at least 6 things today that I initially thought about that case that aren't true.
Well, there was that law for possession, and the problem was the judge in that case. He didn't have to do that.
No, he did.
I think the jury wasn't very happy with what they had to do. If I were one of the jurors, I certainly wouldn't have been happy with that.
Well, who was it on last night's show? Wasn't it?
I
Or
mean,
was
the
it
spirit of the law is what really
No,
matters,
no.
right? I
Well,
mean,
there was a thing. There was a. I think it wasn't on last night's show, but a comment I was reading today in Divided We Stand. I can't remember who it was. Somebody who hasn't commented a lot, and she raised such an interesting point. Do you think the jury was afraid of if they returned any verdict of it? Take out of the fact that that's really the only verdict that they.
well, maybe some of them. That's
And
the
so,
point.
yeah. Well, I mean,
It certainly wasn't all of them because there were Trumpers on there.
Oh no,
Some of
no,
them.
no, no. But what I'm saying is, if that's the case, then what do? You say I can't be on this jury. Well, then you're going to get all Trumpers on the jury. They have no sense, so they have no fear. And the other thing I'm thinking about weaponry, we haven't seen if the minority community, considering making it the Chicano, Mexican, African American, urban communities that fight over drugs and disrespect and space and turf. If they change and somehow are convinced by a leader who can nationalize them, and that I could see that happening, then you got the two. Then you've got your war. Then you've got your war with two sides. And of course, unfortunately, while I'm smiling, I want some justice meted out to the Kyle Rittenhouses of the world because it didn't happen in court. But innocent people are going to be killed. So the more violence, the more chance there is of innocent people being killed. I don't know. Do either of you see? I mean, I don't see any way that the violence isn't going to escalate. I don't.
No, I agree.
And I mean, again, we're all struggling with this. For the first time, I mean, I've said on the show, but we don't always know. New people come in. Yes, I learned how to fire firearms. My dad wanted me to, so I can. I know the rudiments of using. I don't know automatic weapons, but in terms of a shotgun and rifles and things, I learned to shoot. I don't like them. I don't want them. I wouldn't have them in my house. But I'm thinking again: is it time to go back and get trained a little bit? But then that's stupid because I'm not going to have one. Brian and I've talked about that, Ronnie. I know you guys don't have them. And there's just too many opportunities for somebody to use that gun against you. So that's another reason. But obviously there are people, minorities, majorities, white, black, green, who feel they have guns. And they're out there. They're easy to get. I don't know, Brian, you have more Spanish students now, so than I did when I was there. But the 20 years I was teaching, basically the numbers never changed. The kids said, for the most part, by 90% of them, if I gave them money as an assignment and their money was to get a gun and bring it back to school within a half an hour, they could do that. Mm-hmm. The other thing was that they said, and again, they're more expert there, that on any given day in Bridgeton High School, this is prior to the metal detectors going up, that there were 0 to 5 guns every day in that school. Now, Cumberland Regional, for people who don't know, that's the split. That's the rural version of Bridgeton High School. So Bridgeton is urban. There are more guns in trucks. That's where the kids carry them. They don't take them into school, but they have them. So guns are just easy access. You have to make it more difficult.
Mm-hmm. All right,
I'm trying to, go where you were saying it's both sides in the media, and I'm not that naive to think that MSNBC or CNN, isn't biased. But
Brian, could you wake up and put Ronnie on the screen? I don't see.
I'm having just a little bit of an issue here. I'm trying to get.
I don't need to be on full screen. Okay. So
no, I don't say full screen. I just want to see if. Go ahead, Ronnie.
I mean, if you just take the one line of questioning that they were having for Biden's Treasury Secretary, I think it was Treasury Secretary's pick, a woman who happened to be Asian descent, born in Soviet Russia, came here very young,
right.
Went to school, became a citizen, became a capitalist. And the only thing that John Kennedy could come up for a question with or a statement was, I don't know whether to call you professor or a comrade. And of course she had to be on the defensive. Like, you had suggested, we always have to be on the defensive with these people. And see, this is where I get like up to here where I can't even speak because they're they're criticizing her for being a communist, and here they had their fearless leader kissing the toes of the Russian leader. I'm not saying he's a communist, but it's all got to do with Russia. So how, when we talk about, I see MSNBC reporting that accurately, but Fox News does not. So
Right.
what are you
Well,
actually saying?
what
If
I'm
you
actually
had to,
what I'm actually saying is this: you can take well, first of all, people have to make the distinction between news sources. Anybody whose main source of news is television is ignorant of what's going on. I'm just going to say that flat out. It doesn't mean you can't watch it, but if you watch any, you got Fox, OAN, Newsmax on the right. You've got MSNBC, some other things you got on the left, and you've got CNN that tries to play it down the middle, but they're just incompetent. I love to tell you, I mean, the people we really need. There's a lot of that. It's been replaced with showmanship, sound bites, reporters fighting for things, and people I admire. For example, Bob Woodward. My God, he's the greatest journalist of the 20th into the 21st century, and but he keeps stuff for his books, and that's understandable. So what I'm saying is, journalism has changed like everything else, and now it's about tweets, it's about popularity, it's just not about news. That's on the TV side. Radio side, the worst thing to happen to radio was talk radio. And that came because radio was dying. It couldn't compete with TV, right? It couldn't. Just like radio, radio killed newspapers, and people turned that. Now radio is just, I mean, they might as well watch our show. They would get more news from this probably. Because
so
again,
what are you saying? So the newspapers, is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying you have to do it all. And probably the best, the newspapers, the problem there is the rush and their money organizations. So you look at rankings. I would say of the newspapers, Washington Post and New York Times, of course, the right would say that. I think they're the most accurate because they have the most size and have the largest number of reporters. And they do have a lot of columnists who write from the right. So if you want some balance, it's there. But if you really ask me today, who does the best job, it would be the news magazines that have more time. Everything else is instantaneous, and that's where you get your mistakes. Or I blame like CNN or any of those. You've seen those. There's a murder going on, and you can't get there, but I think something's going on here. We're going to stick it out here, and we'll bring something to you. 5 hours of airtime doing speculation or nothing. So I would suggest to anyone who wants a full body, and not like Brian said, because people go, I watch CNN, I watch MSNBC. No. Pick the most reliable newspaper and read it. Pick pick the most reliable radio. And I would suggest for radio, it's either NPR, which doesn't have an agenda to grind, although the right says it does, or BBC, or something from another country. For newspapers, look at some of the things that are being funded independently. ProPublica is marvelous. They don't have an agenda. They don't care about money. They get funded, and so they don't have to make it. And then pick a couple magazines. Used to be Time and Newsweek. I don't know. So it's not. I'm not going to do a job because I'm being hesitant to attack people that I once admired and still do. And I know how tough that job is. But I don't think with the conditions. Let me do it this way. With the conditions of immediacy that you have to have today. And this started at the beginning of time. I faced as a reporter. On one hand, you want speed. On the other, you want accuracy. You can't have them both. And so why I favor news magazines, they have a week to get the story right. I'll end it there. And again, I'm not saying that distrustful or it's not fake news. The other thing is, Ronnie and Brian, I'm speaking to you too, but for everybody, do you know where news gets? Do you know where newsmen and newswomen get their news?
Was that a question? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, a serious question. I'm going to tell you. They get it from people who tell them things. And if you've got people who don't have any basis in the truth, which the right does, how do you handle it?
They're not only reporting what is, they're reporting what's happening. And so they are questioning people all the time, and they can only report at the source. I mean, nobody knows.
You're exactly right. That's what
I think there's a lot of good press people. I really do.
I'm not. It's again. You have to look at what the problem is. The problem are not the people in the press. It's the business itself. It's driven by money and time and firstness, and we don't care. Now, Fox, I don't even consider anything. But let's look at Fox tonight.
Must I?
Find it. Yeah, no, not look at it literally. Good comeback there, girl. Tucker Carlson Monday night is going to have one of the highest rated shows he's ever had. I feel safe in saying that. Do you know why?
Who's on?
Kyle Rittenhouse. They are working from the beginning, that whole time in the courthouse when the judge, now they weren't in there, right? But they were working behind the scenes. So, they're ready for it. And I will watch it, but guaranteed there will be a few people who will be swayed to their side because they're going to portray Kyle as the greatest American hero since John Wayne.
Well, it's just so ridiculous that it doesn't even bear watching. Seriously,
I know, but
it doesn't. I really, I cannot even entertain the thought.
Oh, I and that's the other thing too. Look, I'm sitting here mouthing off. Judy, my wife, spends usually 2 hours Monday through Friday watching Chris Hayes, All In, and Rachel. And they're both very, very good shows. I think they're both intelligent, good news people. But I walk by. I have no problem with them. I have problems with what they have to report. I can't listen to it. You know what I mean? I just can't. Why do I want to sit there and get enraged, with the TV? So I understand when people say I just turn it off. Yeah.
I absolutely understand that.
Yeah. But Brian, I like to pursue something you said earlier, and I'm going to. In 2022, right, it's going to be a big, big election. In some ways, more important than the presidential election. In some ways, right? And that was the election for the soul of America. Well, that didn't work out. Well, this is really even maybe more so. How do you get people out, Brian? I don't have an answer.
That's what I said.
I know you don't.
I apologize before I even begin talking because whatever happened, I went back to one of my scenes and everything exploded, and I don't know why. And I can't keep playing with it, so I'm just keep it really simple now.
Brian, you don't have to excuse your incompetency. We witness it every Saturday.
It really angered me because everything was set up right. But anyway, enough of that. No, I'm going to go back to what I said. Yeah. I think you have to instill fear, and for good reason, because this is what got us out to vote. You need to get all Democrats, especially minorities, but all of them, everybody has to come out, and the fear has to be there. You have to generate fear because that's why they have the guns, because they're afraid.
I don't disagree. So how do you make people afraid on the left?
You do the Goebbels thing. You start putting it in the media, because don't forget, you've got even with Democrats, we've got some low IQ people out there too. You just got to drive it home. Keep it as a simple meme. How the Republicans say Democrats.
Well, no, I would agree with that.
Taxes. You have to do it. Keep it simple. It's really that simple.
And I don't. But what's interesting to me, looking at they have co-opted already almost all the high ground, right? If you talk about they had going in, they had the religion, right? They've
co-opted religion. They've co-opted Jesus.
They had lower taxes. They had they had giving tax breaks to rich, which the people don't understand is why they don't have money. Now they've grabbed education, and that's going to be huge. And we've got some people like, that's where I would like to, I'd like to be the national education spokesman against those people. So, what do we have? Peace, love, kumbaya, love your neighbor. I mean, really, what issues do the Democrats
Where
have?
are they getting that Democrats are against education? Where?
They're saying that the immigration. They're saying that that all Democrats, when everybody come flying over the border, they've been able to effectively generate a common thinking that we are this, and this is why I say it has to be done through the media.
Exactly right. They have a very simple message on all these messages. Education, I think this is what happened. I'll do Virginia. The former governor, Democrat, Terry McAuliffe, who was running, and it was taken out of context, but he said these exact words: I don't think parents should decide what their children get taught. That exploded. And these are affluent counties now. Loudoun County is the epicenter of this in America. It's kind of, if it weren't so dangerous, it would be interesting because it's so close to us. I get a chance to talk to some of the protesting parents. And what they really feel is, they feel that they have a right, and they do to a certain point. But there's competing rights there. They want to ban any book that says anything about positive about minorities. Critical race theory. There is no such thing. There is not. That doesn't exist until you get to college. It's not a thing. What does happen is people that have some sense say black people have been here since for 402 years. They built this country literally on their backs, and we should have something included in their history. Same thing with American Indians. Same thing with immigrants. And so, yeah, Ronnie. That's what. It doesn't make sense.
It's ludicrous.
But they've got it. They've grabbed it. They're running with it. Just for 1 week, humor me, because I'm just asking you to do it to make sure that I'm not crazy. Just focus on all the stories on internet or on TV that talk about recalls in school boards. They're almost in every state. They're threatening teachers. They're saying, if you teach this, if you teach that. And Brian, you've been in education a long time. Education doesn't want to, I don't want to get, they want to be like faceless, right? So instead of coming out, they just kind of sit back and don't do that. They'll start getting their own people on boards of education. They have them now.
Don't you think if people were smart, that they would come out and vote? I think that's part of the problem. They have to understand, this is existential, whether you're talking about, and it's not even just the fact that Republicans are crazy. It's the idea we've got the problem with climate change, which could at any moment become a magnificently deadly situation. There are so many reasons to say, we're in big trouble. I may not live next year, or maybe I'll live worse. Maybe I'll live, but I'll live under, an autocracy, which we kind of have pieces of.
Just stop there. Stop there for a moment. Okay, just for 1 minute. I'm just saying something. The Republicans today want to live under an autocracy.
Absolutely.
That's not a threat to them. Well, you acted like it's a bad thing.
Right, because
think it's a great
Republicans
thing.
know what democracy is. At its root level, it's majority rules, and they aren't the majority.
Correct. But how do you fight that? Not fight it, but because they're the things that you should say, right? Paul Gosar, if there was ever someone who should go put should just figure out a way to end their life because they're so ashamed of their actions, right? He's not ashamed of his actions. He's running around. Trump. I'm going to give Trump an exception. He is the least human being ever, so we're going to move him out of the equation. He has nothing, no human characteristics whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And think about this. And I'm not trying to. It's not like, oh my God, it's over. It's just the things that we used to be able to do: censure people, say that's bad, They don't think it's bad. They think it's great.
It's a badge of honor.
Well,
Because
it
now
is.
it's saying, look,
Marjorie Taylor Greene's numbers, and you judge by numbers and money, went up after they took her committee
Right.
seats away. Paul Gosar's, he may be the outlier because he just looks evil, but it doesn't matter because that little point, that little whatever those, and I've got to do that, and I haven't. I want to know how many people live in Gosar's district, Gates's district. Ronnie, I hate to break this to you, and Brian loves you a lot, but he also has kind of a secret fetish on Laura Bobart. It's the gun.
Bobart.
Gobart. Yeah, that's her name or something like that. Or
butchering every name tonight.
What's her name? Lauren Blowbart or something? I don't know.
Blowbart. No, Bobart.
No, Blowbart. What happens is, so what do you do when someone doesn't fear anything to make them change? You don't. Okay, so we write them off. So now we've got to go after the independents, but they're pretty much involved now.
How about doing this? In this sense, not divided we stand. In this sense, divided they fall. Can't we, behind the scenes, get certain media or whatever together to try to divide, say, a Trump and what's his name from Florida, who seems to be
they're already, Brian, I'm not
Santos or whatever.
I don't mean to shoot you down. They're already divided. They hate one another.
Well, then let's try to, egg it on, push them into the fight.
But here's the thing. Okay. Every day, I'm still glad I voted for Joe Biden. Okay. Because he won.
Right, and we know that. It was the right
but
decision.
every
day, right.
Every day I become more convinced than I was going in that America would be better off under either Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
Every day. So I kind of somewhat guilty of what I'm going to say, but the Republicans are even more so. They don't care. They don't care if it's Trump. They don't care if it's DeSantis. They don't care whoever. They will just vote. So, right, I mean, they already are divided. Look, Trump every day calls Mitch McConnell a washed-up old fossil. Mitch just smiles and continues along his merry way. They don't fight. Democrats do fight. They fight over issues and things that are important. Republicans just keep marching. So I really think, and I don't have an answer for this, we need to look at the people who historically don't vote and somehow convince them, not only that they have to vote, that's tough enough, but they have to vote for the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
And the Republicans will actively try to stop these people from even attempting.
Already doing it.
So
already doing
right.
it.
It's
and I don't want anyone to misinterpret what I'm saying. Yeah, it's gloomy, but you just hopefully one day, maybe Brian, you questioning me, or Ronnie will come up with an answer, or not on this little bogus show, but somewhere else, somebody will come up with an answer. But I know giving up isn't the answer.
No, you can't give up. And I still think the media, just everywhere, especially the phone, it's got to be an attack. You've got to use humor. You got to use people in the media that are, have an acceptable image. We're dealing with people like, what's his name from the Green Bay Packers. I mean, it's a constant.
Look, I mean, I don't want to make light of a serious subject, but I knew Aaron Rodgers was out of his mind when he dropped Olivia Munn as his girlfriend. That's just ridiculous, Well, that's the other thing, Brian. Look who the influencers are. We had more influencers than they did. Lady Gaga, John Legend. I mean, stars. We have all of Hollywood. Not all. We don't have James Woods. We don't have John Voight. Some old washed up stars. They could only get what? Who they get? The Kid Rock, who just came out.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah, but they were, the young, the good. I mean, Barbara Streisand. I mean, and I don't know. I'm not sure of this, and rich Democrats, please prove me wrong. You know what they don't have, though, guys? They don't have the Koch brothers. Do you know how much money the Koch brothers has given to create the government we have right now? A whole lot. Probably more than the top 5, 10
But Trump didn't spend any money on Facebook. With a little bit of creativity, the Democratic Party could have done a lot better, like in 2016. But they didn't. And Trump just used, Twitter, which was free, as was Facebook, and that took it. That was good enough right there. And the Russians could get involved.
Do you know who really was the first president to show that you didn't need the quote unquote lame media, as some people call it? Barack Obama. He never. Do you remember Barack Obama press conferences? No, he used YouTube very effectively. So I'm not saying he was a good president, but what I'm saying, right now, this is also scary. The press's power has been diminished because the only way that a national politician could get their message out prior to social media effectively was through the regular media. Now they can bypass it. Brian, you just said it. Facebook, Twitter, and their money-making corporations. Jack Finney from Twitter is a much better person than Mark Zuckerberg, but they all want to make some money.
Well, here's why your point is really valid. And Brian, we talk about this a lot, and that is, you're watching MSNBC, they're talking to me, they're talking to you, they're talking to Brian, but they're talking as if they're reaching people they should be reaching, but they're not.
Right.
Fox News. I happen to watch Fox News just because I want to see what's going on.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay. And I don't do it a lot, but I feel the need to see that. I don't think people watching Fox News feels the need to see MSNBC.
That is
okay?
True. Right.
So what you're saying is very true. Everybody's face is in their phone. Okay. Everybody's going to see what's on Facebook, whether they read it, whether they just flip by. But that's very concerning because,
there's no, and again, when I talk, I might as well be a dinosaur. I mean, I left the news industry in 1984, 86, somewhere around there in the 80s. But back then, there was kind of a checks and balance. I wanted to write about truth, justice, and the American way, and my publisher wanted to make money, and so we kind of kept each other, somewhat in check. I don't know if it's there now. The other thing, Ronnie, made me think of something too.
By the way, that quote, interesting thing is, Ronnie knew Abby Hoffman very well. They knew each other.
Not very well.
Well enough, Ron. I mean, Jesus. He called you up.
You knew Jesus too? God, you guys are fabulous.
You knew him too, because I'm pretty old, yeah.
Oh, well, hell, I'm older than you.
Or should I say, I feel like I know him very well. No,
I know.
Okay.
But Ronnie, I think you sparked something in me that I don't have time to do, and it would take a linguist, somebody like Steve Pinker or John McWhorter, or the University of Chicago, John List, if you're listening.
He is.
The reading level as a spoken level. That's also the same thing. Reading level is judged, by how long and big your words are and how understandable. I guarantee you, Fox News uses short, jumpy words because they appeal to anti-intellectuals. Listen to some of those words.
Of course they do.
I mean, and you can't dumb it down. I mean, in the classroom, sometimes I get kids say, Mr. Price, you just use them big words. I said, I'm not using them to impress you as big. They're the words I use, So I think that's a problem, though, Brian and Ronnie. The fact that if we directed somebody to look at MSNBC, they're going to go, look at NPR. I don't get that. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And they're just going to say, well, it doesn't have anything. And America, you have to remember, America has always had, from its very roots all the way through, an anti-intellectual stand that sometimes was expressed in terms of ethnic terms, expressed against Jewish people. It was part of the charge, which I always kind of laughed. Didn't they go to look in New York where they were living in tenements? But that wasn't the idea. Intellectuals, go down south. Try that, okay? Well, that's not just Yankees that they don't want. They want them smart, don't know nothing. And the right has this association. I'm not talking about the leaders of the right because they just play on it. The right says, yeah, if you're smart, you can't have common sense. And I'll take common sense every day. And my common sense tells me that Donald Trump won that election. And there you are. So can you dumb down your vocabulary enough, Brian, to get out there and speak to your cousins? Forget that they're cousins.
They'll never listen to me. But the good thing is, and Ron knows this, is that
Oh yeah, I got to interrupt Brian for a minute. Veg, once again, you struck it. If anybody hasn't seen that movie,
I got to go grab something.
don't grab Brian. He's not.
well, that judge reminds me of. And Ron mentioned,
you know what?
That's Schroeder.
That's excellent. And Ronnie touched about that earlier too. And I assume this was Ronnie's point. I hope I didn't miss it, because remember when Ronnie started and she was talking about the murder trial she was in, and she doesn't remember the judge. Kind of. That's the way a judge is supposed to be. They're supposed to kind of disappear into the woodwork. But you had Julius Hoffman in the Chicago 8 trial, and you had Bruce Schroeder. That's how you pronounce his name, I think. I don't, And they did it just completely the opposite of how you should do it. The judge should be the last thing you remember, not the first thing. I know that. You know what? Ronnie, could you do a lot of these shows? You don't have to do them, because you're making me think more than Brian ever does.
Here we go.
You know what helped? You know what helped when we were in the front lines of change in the '60s? Abby and his running buddy Jerry
Rubin.
They just said it was absurd.
My mother's name is Jerry Rubin.
There you are. But the idea, and then you had David Dillinger, who was in that, who was the peacenik. Again, Aaron Sorkin, great writer. But if you watch that, David Dillinger never punched anybody. Sorkin did that for effect. And I don't know. I mean, I even get mad at some of the people. They want to be Joe Biden liberals. Okay, fine. But don't diss AOC. Don't diss Bernie. The Republicans don't. And you mentioned, well, here's something interesting, Ronnie, too, that you did tonight. You mentioned Mr. Kennedy, right?
Yeah.
He's in the news. Name 5 Democratic senators that are in the news who aren't Schumer. I can't do it.
Schumer?
The Republicans grab the headlines. They grab because they're outrageous. And again, news still, the thing about Trump, and they will tell you that if they're honest, 2 things. Trump sold everything, and not a reporter out there, except a handful who maybe spent more time with him than others, thought he had a chance in the proverbial hell of winning. And so they were just getting great copy. And now you wake up one day and he's president. So again, and the other thing is with political writing, and that's something I am somewhat of an expert on. I did it. Political writers don't make up shit, but they already have. Okay, let me do it this way. Sports writers, Brian, in NFL, how many weeks do they know if they were right or wrong? 16, right? And then the playoffs.
Right.
Politics, what? Once a year, right? And so you could, you just kind of you got to write stories. So you don't make them up. That's not what happens. But you go to somebody and you say, look, what do you think? And over here, what do you think? And really, while people say they don't pay attention to the media, they do sometimes. How do you explain Biden's low numbers when the numbers in the pandemic have fallen? Jobs are up, although overall they're walking away. And the Republicans grabbed that one too. What did they say?
They are missing their bully. They don't like calm. Right. They don't like even field. They like they miss that. And one thing that we're grappling with, how do you talk to people? Whoops. I just lost you.
No, I've got you.
We're here. You're here.
Okay.
Maybe you don't see it, but we still have you, so you're good.
Okay. How do you talk to somebody about their line of wait, I'm getting back on here.
Remind me to respond to Gary's horrible attack on my character. Go ahead, Robbie.
Yeah. Whoa.
One of them's got to go off, so I'll take you off one of these here. Now I got.
Oh Lord.
Okay, hold on.
Am I back?
You're back, yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
How do you have a conversation with someone, with a Republican who the Republicans run on freedom, democracy, we're taking away their freedoms, yet they're going toward authoritarianism?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't see what democracy, they honestly do not get the meaning of the word, the meaning of democracy, the meaning of socialism, the meaning of communism. These words are flying around. This language is a big problem, in my opinion.
Ron,
Big
you
problem.
gotta remember, did you know Jerry Rubin also?
Never met Jerry Rubin.
All right, I was just gonna ask you what he would have said earlier.
No.
Well, they would have made. Well, remember. Well, that's kind of off topic. Let's get to what Ronnie just said. Yeah. Again.
This is the biggest problem for me. Is always the vocabulary. It's always the problem because these things fly around like
All
he's a communist, he's a socialist.
Okay.
You have no idea what you're saying.
That's what ignorance is. But Mitch McConnell knows what one is.
Oh well, let's
What I'm saying is, and he doesn't deal with the truth. He wants power. So
But that's what I'm saying. It's not the
right,
yes,
right.
the government is one thing, but it's the followers that believe what they're saying. That is for me. That's the danger.
And I'm going to go after. I'm going to try to put myself in their place for a moment.
That's very big of you.
No. I mean, as close as I can get. I don't know what I would do if I really thought Joe Biden had won the election and Donald Trump was in, right? I don't think I would try to take over the Capitol building, but I don't know. See, they believe what they believe. I'm not trying to elevate them and say they're equal.
I know that.
They're
I get
not
it.
equal. They're not equal. Well, one's crazy and the other is normal. I like the words that you picked. They're able to use. Okay, they're able to use, and they do know what socialism means. Socialism means you give stuff away, and black people and brown people.
Right, that's how they see it. Right.
And non-Christian people are going to get stuff, and I'm not going to have my stuff. That's
Right.
what they say.
And they're going to take my jobs, and they're going to take over the world.
Most Americans couldn't, and again, I don't want to say you have to go to college to be smart. I don't mean that. But what I'm saying, that is a place where you get a little bit more knowledge, hopefully. And so many people there, that's where they learn the difference between communism and socialism. And so they can distinguish. If you didn't go to college, you might not know. And so the Republicans understand that. They say, well, they're the same. Communist, social. They're not. Of course they're not. Then the one thing, Ronnie, that I think they do so well, maybe better than anything else, is they grab the American eagle and the American flag. And they say, if you don't believe us, you're anti-American. And there's a lot of people that's a big motivating factor for. And they don't really believe that black people and brown people and gay people and, back in the day, Jewish people. But see, I think that's the other thing, too. We look at these victories that we think we got. You don't think for a moment if people like Marsha Taylor Greene and Blobart there and whoever else is running, or Matt Gaetz, or the only one that gives somewhat protection maybe to gay people a little bit and Jewish people is Donald Trump, and he'd be overwhelmed by them. Anybody who's different, if you're smart, I mean, anybody who's not them, and that's, but I don't know how you convince people that they're in threat.
By the way, am I allowed to curse on this show?
Yes.
Okay. Didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah.
It
Whatever
has
you
to
need
be
to
after
say.
10 o'clock, but we're okay. Dave violated that rule last
fuck
night.
you. Fuck you. What?
Because I've been controlling myself since
Right.
I was
You don't need to.
Now we curse.
Yeah. I mean, really what I want to say is if Kyle Rittenhouse wanted to help people, why didn't he join the fucking army? Seriously. Why didn't
Oh
he
no.
go to the military? Okay?
Uh, you want me to answer that? I mean, that was somewhat
He
rhetorical.
wouldn't have.
I can tell you this: he tried to be a police cadet and didn't finish. So I assume he didn't like it.
Right, he's a liar. He's a liar. Every
Well, we
question
know
to that
that
effect.
they've got him on tape. This help. He went, and you know where he got his medical training from.
The
He had
firehouse?
no excellent answer. No, he was a lifeguard. So he got
Oh,
whatever a
yeah,
lifeguard
yeah.
gets. And he told people, and you can hear it on the tape, he told people he was a trained medic.
EMT, right.
Whoa.
He admitted he lied.
Well, it didn't matter. That's the
Wow.
law. Now, here's what's maybe the most frightening thing about the law as it stands your ground is you talk about just something that shouldn't even be there. Okay. Ronnie, I come in your house. I finally am going to deal with Brian the way I should. I have a gun and I'm going to take him out, right? Brian pulls out a gun. I shoot Brian. I can still have a stand my ground defense because I was threatened that Brian would kill me, even though I went into your house, even though I had the first gun. That's exactly what happened with Kyle Rittenhouse.
Right, and Rosenbaum didn't even have a weapon.
Yes, by the way.
Contraire, my friend. He actually struck Mr. Rittenhouse with a very deadly weapon. He hit him with a damn skateboard. Think about
That's what I'm
that.
saying. And when I spoke to my cousin, I said he didn't have a gun. He attacked him. That little guy who's like 5'5" attacked him.
Well, here's how I think it played out, and I don't know this. More information comes out now in the trial. The first victim, Rosenbaum, right? He had mental issues. He had a gun, and there's a key point to this that I don't know, and I've seen it, and I didn't watch enough of the trial to know where it came in. But there are reports, and more than reports. I mean, it was entered into testimony that he had threatened Kyle Rittenhouse earlier in the day. Now, I'm not, again, what that does is really set up the threat, was there. It also helps, which is really weird. It helped Rittenhouse in his defense that he ran first and then turned and fired. Because, he was trying to get away. Or was he just trying to get to a better firing position? Yes, Anthony.
Yes.
You're seeing those memes now. A bag of Skittles and a soda and an assault rifle, and one goes free and the other is buried in the ground. And we haven't even talked tonight because I can't speak for Black America. I can't. I was talking to a couple friends and I said I have no idea how you don't go out and just burn America down. Because even though the law, like I said, the jury verdict was correct for every appearance, and nobody can argue that. Had that been a black defendant, that would have been a different verdict. No
Absolutely.
question. No question.
My question too is, can they come after the judge after his behavior?
Okay. Yes, I did some research on that today. I think that is important for people. Let me find.
I think they can actually.
Let me find research. Okay. So what happens? And this is this is what happens. If you are found guilty, you have the right to appeal. If you are found not guilty, the prosecution can never bring charges to you again unless new evidence is unearthed. Right?
Well,
so basically, no, but that's not going to happen in this case. There was enough evidence. Now,
we already know he killed them.
What will happen? And Jerry Nadler, who's the Democrat head of the Judiciary Committee, he's already called on the Department of Justice to launch an investigation into that trial, looking at two things in particular. One is the judge's behavior,
right,
and the other is was it up? It's not just the judge, but was the whole trial conducted in such a way that it meant that, it was fair. So, yes. Now, and indeed, the third part of that is to look into what responsibility does Kyle Rittenhouse have for his actions, because civil suits are different than criminal suits. So when they go in, they start over. And if anybody, disputes that, look at O.J. Simpson, found innocent, and the family, I'm not saying
Right.
it got millions. Now, I don't know if they could get millions from
It has
Rittenhouse.
nothing. Right.
Right. But he does have now.
Now he will.
No,
Now
he
Yeah.
has already. His defense
he'll
fund.
appear on Fox.
Now, here's another one that I mean, this you get livid, but it's the correct way to judge. Uh, he is apparently on tape saying in a CVS store in a discussion that somebody turned in,
That's
I want to shoot some of these people. Basically, is what he's saying, right?
shoplifters.
They can't be that can't be admitted into evidence. But to me, that kind of says the guy had some, what's a young girl you've got cheating on your mind from Gary Puckett saying songs that shouldn't exist anymore. Well, Kyle Rittenhouse, you had something other than kumbaya, love, and help there. The other thing is, and I do understand this, but it does speak to that. He had his pictures taken with the Proud Boys. There is no indication that he is a Proud Boy, was a Proud Boy, will be a Proud Boy, but he was with them.
Who
And
would do that? Who would take a picture with them?
well, that's my point. Well, did you see his T-shirt that he was wearing?
Yes.
Free as fuck.
Right.
Now, first of all, how free is a fuck? I don't know, but no, I mean just that the idea.
What does that even mean? Free of what?
Well, free. He's free now. That's what he. The other
Yeah.
thing is his mother, who look,
Well,
I
free,
don't know,
that was before he shot people. He was wearing that T-shirt.
and he wore it with the Proud Boys too, though. In
Yes.
one of the pictures. So I mean, he's walking around with that. His mother, who I'm not going to get into her, the child rearing thing, but I will say this: she walked in her state, which is Illinois, she walked into a GOP statewide meeting of Republican women and got a standing ovation.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah.
Well, so did
Now,
Tammy Baker.
well, no, I know, but some things. Now there were a lot of this again. Why kind of get to this media? Now some people don't read it, but there were a lot of misstatements in there. Do you realize that Kyle Rittenhouse did not transport that weapon across state lines? I believe that to be true. It wasn't. He had the weapon. It was purchased. It was at a friend's house in Kenosha. His father, they're divorced. His father lives there. He has relatives there. And so his gun was there. Now, that's to me, that's a very, 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 very crucial piece of evidence, if not legal, to me. Now I'm not saying it exonerates him for being there, but again, I just wish reporters, and this was reported in a number of papers, which we would consider our, on our side. But again, that was that rush to get something out. Somebody said this, and they do it that way. So yeah, to answer your question, that's a long roundabout way of doing it, but they can look at how the judge. Now, if you want to lose some sleep tonight, I'll give you a couple of facts that I found out
Losing
today
a lot of
about.
sleep with these. If you're going to lose your sleep tonight, things.
Well, Schroeder right now currently is 75 years old. Now, help me out here with the. I want to get the date right, so give me just a second. His term expires in 2026, which means he can sit on the bench unless he's disbarred or thrown out for another 5 years. Now, again, I don't know the judge, but I do know this. At least on 2 occasions, he made comments that made me think he doesn't know a damn thing about computers at all.
Right.
He said he didn't.
Right, I know. That's what I'm saying. So, Kat, my question becomes, in this age, can you judge accurately people if you don't know anything about computers? And of course, the argument would be, well, it's the law. It says no. I think his time is past.
He's never heard about keeping current.
Well, and don't you think that should be part, of the judgeship?
Well, that's what a teacher has to do.
Now, we're seeing a lot more movement right now with the court, Supreme Court. But see, the problem extends to all federal judges are appointed for life. And I don't even want to think about the people Trump put on the bench, that aren't going to be federal. And a lot of the arguments that I find that, Biden hesitates to do things. I don't know. But a lot of Democrats say, oh, no, we shouldn't do that. We can't expand the court because then the Republicans will come around and expand the court. If you don't expand the court, they're going to have it for the rest of your life.
That's right.
It's just something. It's survival. Is it wise? Is it wise? No, maybe in the long run. If you're looking 4 to 8 years down the road, we don't have 4 years.
No, we don't.
We have 2022 and 2024. Now today, a close friend of Joe Biden came out and said, but you still don't know, that he is going to run again. Because remember, there was a lot of talk and even some indication from him that he would be one and done. Mm-hmm. But again, I mean, you certainly have the two leading front runners, Biden, who is president, and Trump, who's a former president, are certainly up in years. And the older you get, the more chance there is of you not getting older. Right. But I want to ask you this really too, because I've been thinking a lot about it, and we haven't really talked about it on the show. Let's assume, for whatever reason, Joe Biden can't run. And this is a made up question, but you could pick the Democratic candidate. You could pick the person you want. You could just say Bernie, and I don't care what happens, or AOC, and I don't care. Or you could say, I'm going to pick this candidate because I think they have the most chance of winning. Who would you go with, Bri?
Well, the one I would go with, nobody would, know who he is. I'd go with Senator Whitehouse from Rhode Island. Okay. But,
yep.
Anybody but Trump, of course. But as far as you want to win?
I'm saying,
the most fire would be Bernie. I guess Bernie would probably be, as far as, Bernie's true to his words. I don't,
he's always been.
And I can't go around that. I say this is the guy who always comes through. So I know he might lose, but I think I'd get behind him. I did it before. I'll do it again. But White
Bernie's
House,
going to be in his 80s.
right? And no, you're right, Ron. That's a problem. That's a real problem. And we need a young Bernie.
I agree with Joey. I agree with Joey. If you read what he wrote before, he said Pete Buttigieg, except that he would never get elected because he's gay.
Well, Joey's right. I believe he's the smartest. He is technically the smartest candidate. As far as
what I found. Buttigieg is great, but I do think also he has a problem on the left.
Left doesn't
a lot
like
of people
him
on the extreme doesn't like him because they think he's a young Joe Biden or whatever. I would say,
which is better than an old Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to go. Again, I don't know if she has electability. Bernie, I agree, would be a great, but just maybe the age thing would be there. I think I went for it in the last election. I think she's but she brings problems. Who I'd really like to see, if we could do it by acclaim, honestly, AOC.
Right.
Forget it.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying, you have to do it by acclaim. Yeah. I have to pick the president.
Of course, I would choose her, but forget it.
No,
forget it. Yeah.
But because she brings so much to the table.
She's too young, first of all.
Right, and that's the problem. She's too young.
And at this point, we need youth. But you're right. No, is she electable? Not at national level. She may struggle in her own district simply because things are volatile, and one of the things I worry about is in some districts. I think she'll be fine, but some of the more moderate.
Did she run for senator, or is it what?
Yeah, you can always do that. But the problem becomes running for Senate in New York when you're, it's a little risky because New York. Upstate New York is pretty red.
Pretty well. Sandy could tell us, that's
pretty red. And again, I don't want to keep beating this horse, but damn, that New Jersey election bothers me.
Katie Porter, that's another one from California.
Yeah, she's good.
She's tough.
There are the things we have to look at, And Brian, you were saying, get ready now. Maybe that's something we can all do is start looking at, screening our own candidates,
But in the
see,
meantime, I still think we have to put out the fear factor because it's legitimate fear. I fear the takeover. Everybody, at least that I know of in this chat room,
and everybody here is going to, yeah. But Brian, I'm not
right. Everybody
bursting
here
your
is going to
bubble.
vote for not Trump.
Right. And the group you have to get, and if they didn't fear Trump in 2016 enough to vote, and they didn't fear Trump in 2020 enough to vote, how do you get them to fear him or the Republican
Well,
candidate
then I
in
think you
2024?
have to target, do like your business. You have to target market.
I
Target
agree. I
African
agree.
Americans and say this guy is gonna, turn this country back 200 years, and you're gonna be invited to it. Get
And I
out there and vote.
And you have to guide. I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to look at something else. I don't think Stacey Abrams is one of a kind. I mean, I think she's brilliant, and not everybody's that way. But I would say any Democratic state or any swing state, if such a thing exists anymore, maybe they have they have Abrams light, right?
You need a
And
dynamic personality.
I'll tell you one thing.
That's all that matters.
I am very impressed with Eric Adams. I don't know how you feel about it.
Oh no, there's, and again, I'm not. But look at the Democrats that we throw out. The Republicans have co-opted the news. I just come because they say such outlandish things. And they've lumped the squad. They're all very efficient. They're right. America's a damn racist nation. It's always been a racist nation. Trev, wait and see. If you really want to throw up, Trev.
He might run.
Well, he's going to run too.
Oh, he's running. Oh no, he's running.
Yeah.
There's no question. Go look at his new book.
No thanks.
No, I actually did. I won't
He's
buy it.
He's like the freaking spider web that keeps coming back year after year. I can't take it anymore with him. He's got to go.
And you got to remember, he was the two polar extremes. He was a very popular governor in New Jersey at one point, and he came out. His numbers on exiting were the lowest of any governor in the state's history.
Dukakis.
But he came out. There you go. Is Lloyd still around?
There you go.
I like Lloyd. He's got to be 112 now. No, but we're having fun with this. But I mean, it's a serious. I think you guys, both of you, Ronnie and Brian, raised interesting point here of, Brian saying we've got to work on it now and do what we can.
The fear factor,
and Ronnie's
and then
saying
a dynamic candidate.
Look, I'd love to say that love is a. I will say that love is a better.
You used to say that, David.
No, love is a better emotion still. It's better for you. It's better for everybody else. Love doesn't win elections. Fear wins elections.
Isn't that a sad statement?
It's a true statement. I mean,
when you come from a place of fear, I will tell you personally, it's a death sentence.
Of course it is. You and I mean, we know some things about therapy and and harming yourself. And I mean, that fear. It's not like an evil emotion. It just puts you in prison and makes you do stupid things. But it's still more motivating than love. Religion, come on. There's not one evangelical out there who is political, who has any relationship to God who doesn't exist in the form they think.
Yeah, he is dangerous. He is dangerous. Who? Chris Christie.
Oh, yeah. And I was thinking about that the other day. If anybody out there knows anything about Sirius XM, not how to fix it, I've been working 4 days. I've had experts. They can't get into the car. But so all I get is the subscription things. I don't know if you've heard those for a while. And one of them is the Joel Osteen channel. And his wife comes on. His wife comes on and says something.
He's a real winner.
Something like this. You are entitled to what God wants you to have. So go and get it. Whoa! Yeah. That Joey, Mr. Benson, that's one of the great political quotes of all time.
It's too bad Benson didn't run for president instead of.
And some people have said, looked at a third party candidate. Wow, there's just that.
You're no joke.
I mean, think about yes, Veg, you're absolutely right. Um, and here's what's interesting, okay? Mitch McConnell is a really old turtle, right? Trump never was involved in politics other than to con them and get them off and spin the president. But look at the young shock troops down there. You know,
Right.
you've got Hawley. I mean,
Gates.
forget that we hate him. You got Hawley who's young. You've got Ted Cruz, who's the most hated man in the Senate. But you know he'll do whatever it takes.
Boebert,
Now you've got your love interest, Boebert. You've got Marsha Taylor Greene. I don't think Matt Gaetz will survive. I really don't. I don't think he can go any further. I'm not real sure yet about Madison Cawthorn. I don't see him really as a force, or Nogosar, but there's still young. You know, there's still some young people down there that if they want to run young, you know, I said, I mean, think about this: Marjorie, whatever the hell her name is now, Taylor Greene.
Marjorie.
Whatever, Margarine. Okay, Margarine Taylor Greene.
No, not Marjorie.
Okay, he's 100%. He's got McCawful.
You really think I'm gonna?
He purposely does this.
The only thing that bothers me is I try not to sound like Mr. McNasty like Trump. I don't give nasty names, but I just mispronounce their names.
Really? I mean, you know, you really just want Stormy Daniels to run. So.
Well, Ronnie, as much as I've enjoyed having you tonight on the show, and you know you're always welcome. It's Brian's show. I you know, but if everything works out, we will have Stormy Daniels. I will know on December 5th if Judy lets me pay enough money to have a half hour with Stormy Daniels. I'm going to do. Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, there'll be three things happening there. Nothing will be sexual. She will give me a tarot card reading. I will ask her if she will do the show. And three, well, that's personal, but it doesn't have anything to do with sex. So yes, I do want Stormy.
All right.
Now, but well, there's somebody who had some notoriety. Maybe we could get Stormy to run. But
Margarine Trailer Scream, yeah, very cute.
Well. Oh, one other woman I want to throw, not for president, but I forgot. The one woman in all the presidents or the race that scared me the most was Donnie Boy Jr.'s girlfriend.
Oh, yes.
What was her name?
Oh my God.
Christine something, right? Is it
Oh,
Christine?
my
No.
What is it? I don't even know what her name is. Anyway,
Somebody look her up on the chat room.
yeah, I honestly don't know. I blocked her. But I never.
Didn't she go out with the governor Newsom or something?
No, she was married to him.
Oh,
But what was
That was his wife.
And she was a news person too. But anyway, remember when she did that when she spoke at the Republican convention,
Yes.
and she was
Maniacal.
screaming at me. And then the meme that came out later, she burst into flames. I mean, I really did think that was going to happen.
That was really funny.
And I don't want to accuse somebody of doing drugs falsely, but damn, she has mental issues if she wasn't coked up. Okay,
Kimberly Guilfoyle.
That's it. Yep. Kimberly, whatever. Anyway,
Tinfoil.
Tinfoil. Yeah, Kimberly Tinfoil. Did you see? She made the news this week, guys.
I did see, but I don't remember what it was.
It could turn out to be very significant. She bragged about being around and raising millions to help fund January 6th.
Right.
That's pretty close to the White House. Now,
Right.
through this whole show, I think because we don't, I've lost track of how many investigations there are against Donald Trump. But as I said, I just don't see him running them all. But I think, Brian, you said this the other night when we were talking about it, and you're absolutely right. He's playing, in soccer. Why soccer? Yeah, I like that, Veg. We're going with that. Marie now I'm going to start calling her Marie Antoinette. Now I'm all confused.
Brian, that's something you would write. Guillotine.
yeah.
In soccer, one of the Italian theories of soccer is called catenaccio. You put all your best players on defense because if you play to a 0-0 tie, you can never lose, right? And so it's kind of like running out the clock. Brian, I said before, anybody who does basketball out there, North Carolina, before when they didn't have a shot clock, they would get a 3-4 point lead and they would just hold the ball. sometimes
This is
for
what
10,
Ronnie and I
15.
have been talking about. What Gary's actually suggesting here. I know you don't agree.
Gary, I agree, Gary.
Because this might be,
gonna-
he says it might be the ball game.
It is, well, certainly let's put it like this. I'm not going to jump on board and support it, but I'm certainly not going to argue against it tonight. I think
You have to be very careful. I mean, someone could be, very stoic and just say, "No, I don't think we could."
No, we have to win, and I don't know how we do it. I don't know how we do it above board.
Well, that's one way.
I love Michelle Obama's. When they go low, we
Oh.
go high. Michelle, honey, no, that's like Joe Biden's.
She tried to correct herself and make it sound.
Well, I mean, it's the right thing to say. I don't think. I mean, Michelle Obama is a brilliant.
Right,
Not
but
a
she made a
brilliant
big
lady.
mistake
She's
by
a
saying
brilliant.
that. This is
She's
not the way to
100
deal
times.
with it.
She's 100 times cooler and probably.
Can you imagine
smarter than
somebody
Brock.
going up to a bully? Please don't do this. This doesn't work.
How
Well,
about Michelle Obama running for president?
you know what? I said
Good
that
idea.
a long time ago. Not trying to take
That
your
gets your
thunder.
vote out there. There's
But
where
but you know what? You know what? I don't think I honestly. Well, you'd have.
She will never do it. I'm just saying.
No. I think it's a great
Michelle
idea. Yes.
and,
I think that you'd have to convince her that she had no other option. I mean, people don't realize that the wives, well, they do, but they don't understand. The wives go through hell, being first ladies, and and she saw what her husband went in looking like a relatively young man and came out, their hair gets gray, they get old, there's pressure. Why anybody would want the job, I don't know, but no, I think she would be an excellent choice if she
Can you
would.
imagine though Harris and Michelle Obama together? How the right wing would be?
Oh,
Brian, but
I mean, I'm almost like going to egg that on.
honestly now, I don't know how many more people they can draw to their side.
Right. I think there's.
I don't think in that pool. That's what I don't think. I think that pool of non-voters just is non-voting, and I don't see them going to their side. I mean,
well, guess what? Kyle Rittenhouse can vote now.
Yeah, well, okay. Let's really go out on a limb here. If things don't get together, how's this sound, kids? Congressman Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh my God.
No.
Yeah.
It's
like Lord of the Flies.
Well, yes. So we've got.
Really, son.
Isn't it funny how literature and reality are like almost
Well,
like
there's.
this?
I know, Brian. You and I have disputed for years. Certainly, I will concede this. Russian literature is far more enlightening than science fiction, but I think they both have a place. And for anybody out there, there are two series on Netflix now. One I've been touting all summer, called Midnight Mass, and another one just debuted this week, and it's a Korean, and so you got to deal with the mouths don't move in time. Called what the hell is it called? Hellbound. But what's so interesting is they are stories of what's going on in America, disguised as monster movies, or disguised as horror films. And so they speak to just what we're talking about, which is basically craziness, conversion. When how people use religion, and it's frightening. So when you say literature, yeah, I mean, look, 1984, we're there. Brave New World, we're there. It's just a question which one. Handmaid's Tale, we're there. Fahrenheit 451, we're there. But we don't have a Mr. Spock. That's what we don't.
No, and that's what we need. We need a Mr. Spock. Yeah. And apparently,
well,
that doesn't work.
Actually, I'm going to argue with you a little bit on that. What we need is that triumvirate of Captain Kirk, Bones, the Doctor, and Spock. And which again, the Republicans don't have anybody like that. They just have
they've got one of the tribbles.
Well, that's true too. Well, once again, as we start to wind down, a couple things.
Did
Thanks,
you want to
everybody.
mention? You told me to remind me about Gary. You said you had a conversation. Did you want to send it? Or do you want to wait till another time? Or no?
No. I mentioned. Gary mentioned the conversation before, and I was neglectful. We've only been friends about 112 years, and I missed his birthday, so tried to get a hold of him. I got a hold of him, and I told him, and I told him something that I'd like to, and so I have a request of everybody who listens. Gary put forth two of his friends to join the page, and I made him put more, but two asked, and neither one of them answered the question. And so if you could kind of on Divided We Stand, not your own personal pages, just mention that anyone who seeks to join, they could be the best liberal, the best Joe Biden, whatever. We just can't accept them if they don't do that. Right. So because I knew Gary, I got back to him and said, I don't know how good these friends are, but if you want them there, you have to get to them. And so the same thing here, and I think sometimes, I don't know if people seem to be, I would think they get tired on our page, Brian, of it being you and me. And I'll tell you what, I mean, there's so many I don't want to single some out, but so many people put so many good things on there. It would probably be more effective coming from them. And you'll just, and the other thing I want to say tonight, people, is we did, and when I say we, it was basically me, but Brian would have concurred. We did bounce somebody today. Name is not important. But what happened was two of our members felt that his comments were trolling or intimidating to them. And I will say what happened, he called, it was a he, obviously, or not obviously, it was a he, who called some other woman, something like, oh, yeah, Karen. Her name wasn't Karen. He was talking about this. So, this is not a court of law, right? We decide who can be on this page and who could not. Brian really bends over backwards to be fair and just. That's not my role. But I just said, so there's two examples. If you don't sign, you could be the greatest person in the world. If you don't say if you don't respond to the question, you don't get in. On the other side, you can take your argument somewhere else because this is the free speech has nothing to do with this page. That applies to government. So I wanted to bring those two things up. Thanks for reminding me.
I want to thank everybody tonight because we are going to be wrapping it up. And it was a great conversation. We had a lot of people in the chat room. We increased the subscribers. So, Ron, thank you. And Dave, as always, thank you. This was a wonderful show.
I would like to say this. Joey brought up earlier, I know you and the famous political quote. And ladies and gentlemen, there are people, and I happen to be one of them, who might think that the wrong Obama got elected president. I mean, he was a very good president, but maybe Michelle would have. And look at the two the two Breinsteins up there. Look at the two Weinsteins up there. And I'm going to go with the one on the left every single time. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you would write into me, I'll make it so that we'll just let Brian mess up the technical point, which he does.
Today was
no matter
not
what.
a great day for me.
Oh, come on, Brian.
Listen, I know how you feel, but no, I'm mad at myself. But I don't know, just something really hemorrhaged there, and I don't want it to happen again. So, but listen, normally I put some playful video at the end. I do have something that's very serious, and I asked both of you, Ron and Dave, not say anything right now because we know how serious this is. There was an escape.
You're not gonna show your colostomy, are you?
No.
What do you get?
Just trust me. This and look, in those of you who are at home,
colonoscopy.
If this is going to be something, in all seriousness, if this is going to be something that's going to be tough for you to watch, I ask you not to watch this. But I will put something. It's an effort that I put in. There was an escapee from the local prison about 6 or 7 years ago, and I had done a short film of what had happened, and we actually got a little bit of video because he tried to break in the house, and we had a hell of a time trying to get him out. So it's not funny. I don't know why you're goddamn laughing. But eventually they got him out.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I know what he's going to show, and in my defense, it's the only appropriate action when you find yourself trapped. Brian and Ronnie's house is wonderful when Ronnie's there. Right. If Brian comes in, it's something else. So
this is real, and I didn't want to have to do this. And I am very serious now, so I apologize to everybody. Ron and Dave, this is not funny. This is a very serious matter here.
Well, the sad thing is you're never funny, but that's okay.
Okay. I got this beach ball thing going on. I got to make sure. Oh, here we go. Let me see if I can.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks for taking care of Brian, my buddy Brian, all these years. We appreciate it. Ronnie, he isn't this inept at everything, is he?
See you later, folks. Please, I hope not. I don't offend anybody because this was a serious film that I put out. So, but it was all cleared up, and I think, I think the law, worked in our favor that night, eventually.
Look at this crazy damn Bridgeton nut. What the hell? He's 61. He acts like he's 3. Jesus Christ. This one's going on Facebook for sure. God, what's this crazy? Get him out of here, Judy. He's sick. Man, sick. This is even better. Damn. Give me my bed stuff back. God damn. You stink too. God. Go. Go to Steve DePatri's. Jesus Christ.
Give me the pills.
You're gonna break the house. Now you.
Give me the pills. Stop playing, asshole.
There you go. You right?
Give me your pills. Come on, I'm gonna fix them. Okay, I got it all on. Enough is enough.
Now there's gonna be still the dance.
Hey, look.
Oh my God.